Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. Well, a lot of things have been going on in Oklahoma politics this week, starting with a special session called by the governor, and then we have the stuff going on with the Oklahoma Department of Education and Ryan Walters circus, and everybody else on how they just really hate that public education. So the big news items this week has been this special session that the governor called in. Well, and this is great because when it comes to the governor calling in a special session, one of the things he didn't do was get a hold of the leadership of either House or Senate and tell them they were going to have a special session, which is unusual because typically when a governor calls a special session, he calls the leaders of the Senate and the House, especially when they're in his own party, to let them know, hey, I'm calling a special session, this is what it's going to be about, get ready for this, let's strategize a little, let's prepare. But Governor Stitt didn't do that at all. He just said, special session, here you go. Whoa. Didn't do anything. And so that's the big odd thing with it. The next thing was what he wanted to do in it. One, he wants to eliminate the income tax to 0%, and the other thing he's got is a trigger law. What's the trigger law? Well, this says that if anything beneficial happens to the Native Americans here, like, they get their own land or they get to drill for their own oil, then all taxes for Oklahoma citizens go down to 0. And this has to do with that continued fight here, talking about the gaming compacts and everything else, and that big drag down fight he had with the tribes where they basically just handed him his butt, and he lost miserably with them. Because he did, he lost so much. He lost 2/3 of the state to him. I mean, come on, they're totally, he's totally lost on this one. And so, this is just what he's going to do to get some payback because, he's kind of petty like that. So basically that's in there. But the one thing you won't notice that's in there is anything about a grocery tax, which is wild, see, because a grocery tax or eliminating the tax on groceries is very popular across the board. And that might be the problem with it. As we know of conservatives today, Republicans, they cannot be seen working with Democrats. They can't. If a Democrat is for something, they have to be against it. No, I'm not kidding you. They have to be. So in this instance, Democrats are for a grocery tax. It's been part of their plank for several years. They've put it in as a bill all the time. But the thing is, if Republicans, conservatives, can't find a way to own that, take it from Democrats and own it for themselves, well, then they're just not going to bring it up. Because, see, it's not a win for them to do that. Unless they can get something out of it themselves, they're not going to do it for the people of Oklahoma. That's just how conservatives work. It's part of their plank. Go read it in their own platform. It's actually there. So this is what we have. We have a special session going on where we have trigger law in case Native Americans get some special privilege, eliminate the income tax to 0 without any means or plans on how to do that, and then nothing on the grocery tax. Nothing, 0, nada. But here's the other great thing about all this. See, they opened up this special session and almost immediately the Senate adjourned it, their side of it. They may not meet again. So the House is like, we may meet on all this stuff, but without the Senate being open over there, calling it quits, they're not really sure what's going to happen. And this is the whole deal, right? This is the GOP today. We can even see it when it comes to what happened with Matt Gaetz putting his resolution to can the Speaker of the House. No plan. They got no plan. The only plan is to off McCarthy. Because why? Because, see, he took power from Gaetz, or tried to, by saying, hey, man, go ahead, get me, I dare you, I'm going to make this deal. So it made Gaetz look weak. So he had to come out and do something. So he did this so that he didn't lose any power. McCarthy did, and he did. But here's the wonderful thing about it. Gaetz and his 15 cohorts have no plan. They don't. Tom Cole was correct when he came out in defense of McCarthy saying, hey, if we do this, we're going to look like the Chaos Party because we have no plan. And what I mean by no plan is they have no plan for a replacement. They don't have anyone. They have nobody. So this makes a real good it's a real good chance that McCarthy may actually win the speakership again because they don't have anybody. The closest they got is Scalise, and he hasn't even said if he's committed. No one's even asked. So this is just Matt Gaetz going on pure emotion. No logical thought in this. This is strategic moronics right here. And we're seeing the same thing with a special session when the governor of the state doesn't get a hold of anybody. The House, the Senate, tell them, what are you guys doing? Here's 3 items. Oh, well, we don't know anything about that. How are we supposed to put this together? Where's your guidance? We can't even conference. Nothing. Zero. This is what you get when you have Kevin Stitt as your governor. You don't get governance. When you have the GOP in charge, they don't govern. They don't govern well. They just suck at it. They absolutely do. We have the proof in all the pudding that they've been making for several years. In Oklahoma, Republicans have been in charge of the statewide offices for nearly 15 years. And they want to blame Democrats for everything. Oh, well, I think the best part is, well, they'll blame Democrats for not stopping Republicans. You didn't stop us. That's your job. You're supposed to stop us from doing all this crazy stuff. No, it isn't. My job when you start doing crazy stuff is to pop more popcorn. Because see, in the end, all this stuff that they're doing, it's going to really benefit Democrats in the long run. Because here you go. They don't have a Speaker of the House at the U.S. House of Representatives, and we have this continuing resolution to fund the government's going to come back up in about 42 days. And we have no Speaker in the House. We have no leadership there. No, none, zero, nada. Nothing's going to happen. No governance is going to happen, and I seriously doubt we're going to have a funded government in about 42 days. So this is what we have. It is the same thing here in our microcosm of Oklahoma with what Stitt's doing with his special session, which, by the way, cost Oklahoma taxpayers $35,000 a day to keep it in session. It does, but Stitt doesn't care. He doesn't care about taxpayer money. He doesn't care about the taxpayer. You know, he might care about their money and how him and his cronies can get a hold of it, but he doesn't care about the taxpayers. You know, and whenever you look at all the fraud, all the waste, and just the missing tens of millions of dollars, because there are, if you look into it, tens of millions of dollars missing over the last 6 years. But you know, we have Republicans in charge here, and they won't go after their own. But I guarantee you, if Democrats were ever in charge here, Kevin Stitt would be up the creek without a paddle. Because him and his cronies have fleeced the state for tens of millions. Swadleys, Greer funds, PPP, that $5 million missing, Gino DeMarco having his hand in every one of those things. So there you go, you know, they don't want to get that out. So that's what we have with the special session and everything else that's going on with the chaos involved with Governor Stitt calling a session without talking to anybody. But now, let's go on, switch a little gear to the other circus that's going on in Oklahoma, and that would be Ryan Walters. See, that guy is just an attention whore. You see, just like the Libs at TikTok lady, just like Carrie Lake, they love that attention, and that's what this is about. So, Ryan Walters actually invited the woman who runs Live at TikTok, who's from California, by the way, to come to Oklahoma. And what did she try to do? She tried to speak at the Western Heights school meeting. Yeah, someone who doesn't live in Oklahoma, much less has any kids in Oklahoma, going to any kind of public school in Oklahoma, and she was upset that they wouldn't let her speak at it. I'm not kidding you. Tried to speak at it. They wouldn't let her, which is good of them. They shouldn't. She has no business except to make, I don't know, get more followers. That's what she's after. She's not trying to help anybody else except herself by doing that. She's not helping the people of Oklahoma by doing that. She's trying to help herself. That's what it's about. So now she's putting on this protest of a private business in Norman. They're putting on a drag show this weekend. And people are asking folks to go help with a counter protest there, and that's what she's doing. I'm gonna protest a private business because this neo-Nazi chick from California is coming to Oklahoma who Walters just can't get enough of. And that's where we're at, right? So the other interesting deal is there's going to be a board meeting this Friday, special board meeting this Friday. Now the board meeting's only going to hold two people. One is the woman from the Tulsa chapter of Moms for Liberty. Yeah, you're going to let them speak at a private deal for the Oklahoma Department of Education. Oh, and a book publisher. You see, and what the deal is this leader of the Moms for Liberty is going after a math book. See, because it contains something about diversity and equality and inclusion, you see. And what it is it probably has a word problem where there's a guy named Saul, and this is guy's Latino, and that Latino experience we cannot teach in our schools. White Christian only. That's what this is about, I'll guarantee it. Now, guarantee it, that's what they're going to do. So they got them and a publisher going to talk about this woke book that has DIE in it. DIY or whatever the hell they want to call it today. So that's what's going to go on Friday. And then they're going to do a big old protest against a private drag show on Saturday. Oh, and if you ever wanted to know just what conservatives think of public education, well, they want to kill it. They don't want to save it. They're not trying to save public education. That's baloney. That's so far-fetched. No one really believes that. But they have to say it, you see? Because it's one of these... They have to say it because really that's what they have to say to the cameras. But it's kind of a funny thing here. You see, a guy named Ray Carter, you probably never heard of him because he's a nobody. He works for a think tank, OCPA, a little think tank that got their butt handed to him in a lawsuit a while back for defamation, talking about a lot of slander and libel on people, got sued. And so they kind of had to pull back a bit. It kind of harmed their reputation that they're a bunch of liars. So Ray Carter over here at this OCPA, it's a political committee. Anyway, they put out a post that said, some people still believe that you can get a public schools back if we can get control of school boards, eliminate CRT, and eradicate gender indoctrination. And the whole headline is, public schools are irreversible cesspools of wokeness. Irreversible, we can't fix them, we have to destroy them. So this is where OCPA is, and the conservatives of Oklahoma, destroy public education. See, because they really hate that stuff. They hate public education. They need to turn it over to their private school buddies. You see, and it makes a lot of sense, right? This is why they want it, because, hey, think about it. The school budget, public schools, is our biggest funding budget in Oklahoma. It's the biggest thing we pay our tax monies on. Billions of dollars. Hey, billions of dollars for school. Now you tell me why a private school or individuals aligned with that wouldn't want to champion private schools, hobble public schools, make them look as bad as possible to turn all that money over to private schools and their minions. That's what this is all about. That's exactly what it's all about. And OCPA says it exactly. They don't even lie. They don't cut through the chase. They don't say, oh, we love public education. No, not at all. They say we have to eradicate it. It's irreversible wokeness. You'll never be able to fix it. We have to get rid of it. And that's convenient for their private school buddies. That's convenient for the religious nonprofits. It's convenient for the epic types that like to fleece states out of tens of millions of dollars and then try to hide it, and then takes years to go after them for it, to the point to where we're still waiting for them to get convicted in a trial of their peers to go to prison. See, the guys at Epic who stole hundreds of millions of dollars from the state of Oklahoma still walking around free. They haven't done anything. Even though this AG is looking into, hey, we're going after these people. They're still able to slow down the process. They're still able to influence the process with the money they stole. They didn't give it back. They didn't give all that back. Not even part of it. Those guys kept their money. It was Epic who had to pay it back. See, and they're no longer aligned with that. But they have the money to influence everyone else involved, except for the Attorney General. So that's why this gets slow-walked the way it does. That's why those guys with Epic got away with stealing hundreds of millions of dollars and are still walking away free. You see? because they did exactly what these incredulous bastards with OCPA, Ryan Walters, Libs of TikTok, and Moms for Liberty want to do to our school systems. Well, that's what's going on this week on Across the Desk. And as always, we'll see you next week.